Hello, hello. So I wanted to do a video about karma, the law of attraction, forgiveness, love, the law of one, and how it all relates to each other. All of these individual concepts and ideas are quite valid, and they are just a few of the important concepts that one might encounter in their spiritual journey. But I find these to be the most important to furthering our development and growth. They are extremely interconnected, and to fully maximize one, you have to actually understand the others to the fullest extent. Now, you've heard me talk about the law of attraction, and you've even heard me mention karma and forgiveness and all that stuff, but I wanted to talk about the delicate dance that all of these concepts have within each other and how it all relates together. Basically, so let's start with the law of attraction, because that's pretty popular. Everyone knows the law of attraction from Abraham Hicks, who has really brought it to the forefront. The Secret. Then there are others who have done amazing work regarding it. Edgar Tolle. Edgar Casey's even talked about it, the law of one, the raw material. Seth Speaks. And basically, the law of attraction, when you boil it down to, is what you think. Where you focus your thoughts is what you create, or what you attract to yourself. So, one could say that if I focus solely on negativity, I will attract negativity into my life. And that's the law of attraction in a nutshell. So, many people say you need to focus on positive affirmations. And the way the law of attraction is being really pushed out there now is focus on having all your wants and desires rather than not having them, and you will have them. This is true, this is valid, and it's legit. And if that's where you're at, awesome. But of course, you know, in past videos, I've mentioned that using the law of attraction for wants and desires is trying to align the world with your ego. Because if you're working on aligning your soul to source, you realize there is no want, no desire. But we'll get into that in a little bit here. I want to go back and explain the reasons why the law of attraction isn't being properly utilized and maximized in our own lives. And this is karma. Karma is what you reap, you sow. Sounds a lot like law of attraction. And in truth, they're almost identical in how they work. In that law of karma is a more physical balance, give and take. Whereas the law of attraction is a spiritual understanding of this concept. But the thing is, if you're bound by karma, that means you haven't totally accepted forgiveness and totally offered forgiveness. There is something in your life that you're just not okay with releasing and letting go. It may seem like you have. You're like, oh, I forgive you, I forgive everybody. And then someone cuts you off in traffic, and what are you doing? You're flipping the bird, saying a bunch of cuss words. You think you've forgiven everybody, and then you find out your spouse cheated on you. And then what happens? You get upset, and you get love, and that forgiveness becomes hate and anger. So, true forgiveness isn't the kind of forgiveness that works until someone is doing us wrong. It isn't the forgiveness that we imply or offer after we've had time to cool off. The true forgiveness, the forgiveness that the good master Jesus taught us, is the forgiveness that is being given all the time, even during those actions that are against us and that hurt us. There's never a moment of non-forgiveness. But now that doesn't mean we can't get upset or that we're not allowed to express anger. It just means that even in our anger, we have forgiven the individual that is responsible. Sometimes it's ourselves. It can be others. So, while we may be expressing anger at a certain situation, we have offered forgiveness before, during, and after. There's no lapse of forgiveness. Constant. But if you haven't gotten to that point, and most of us have not, it is very difficult. You gotta just take your time and you gotta work at it. And I'll get into how that is easier in a moment. But if you haven't done that yet, then you're under karma. And karma is basically your psyche, your soul, your complex has decided that when you do something wrong to another, that you are bound by the law of karma to rectify it, to balance the situation. And this has been a quite effective law, necessary for the development of our kind, but it's also the result of us not being able to express true forgiveness. But now we have the opportunity to step out of karma and leave karma behind. And that's love and forgiveness. If you can forgive, before, during, after, at every moment of now, you have true, complete forgiveness, then you have stepped off the wheel of karma and you are into the law of grace. Once you've moved off the wheel of karma, you are no longer bound by karma's contracts. So people who are trying to use the law of attraction are meeting blocks, or they're simply using it for their own gain and will have to pay a karmic debt in their next lifetime, if not sooner, because they haven't worked through the karma first. And it's kind of like, if I manifest a rich, wealthy life, and I'm constantly focusing my thoughts positively. Oh, I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. I already have this. I already have that. I'm rich. I'm wealthy beyond measure. But I signed a karmic contract before I came into this life that says I'm going to be poor because I was a rich fat cat in my last life and I took advantage of other people. Well, it doesn't matter how much manifesting you're going to be doing. You have already decided in your higher self state that you need to experience a life of being poor. And this is your payment to balance the scales, if you will. So you can see now your karmic debts, if you're still under karma, are going to prohibit you from fully maximizing the law of attraction in your life. So, if you want the law of attraction to work, you need to put yourself into the law of grace, which is true, complete forgiveness. Not the human styled forgiveness, but the total, complete forgiveness of anyone who's ever offended you, hurt you, done you wrong, looked at you the wrong way, cut you off in traffic, cost you your job, cheated on you, split up your family, murdered a loved one, killing thousands of people, enslaving people, whatever it may be, whoever it is, you have to learn to truly forgive them at all times. So, if you do that, and you offer your apologies as well to anyone you may have offended, and you can wipe away any karmic contract, push it aside, you're done with karma now. Now you're in the law of grace. Now, What makes the law of grace easier to understand and assimilate is the law of one. The law of one is best understood that the God who inhabits us, this spark, inhabits all others the same. And that regardless of what you may think in this limited perspective, everyone is an expression, a unique expression of God. Some people use the law of one type concept to convince people that they are one, and that everything else is a part of them, is just an expression of their own mind in their world. This is kind of a misdirecting use of the law of one. The law of one is we are part of the one. We are all parts of the body, equal parts, with our own unique purpose. But we are not the one. I am not the one. I'm a part of the one. But I am not the one. And this is a matter of pride and ego here. So, if you can understand that God, even in the worst of us, in our limited view, what we see as worst, has chosen to express himself uniquely as that individual, just the same as God has chosen to express himself as you, then we can understand that there is no judgment, there is no hate to be had. There is only the Creator expressing himself in all possible ways. And we must remember this, we are souls having a physical experience. This world is the true illusion. The reality is that we're much greater, bigger, and grander souls and entities than what we are represented in this narrow field of view. So, if you can understand that we are all part of the one, then you are more easily able to offer grace to another, because you realize that that person, even though in our limited view may be doing something that we would deem as negative, they are still God expressing itself in another being in another way to offer opportunity to experience and to learn and to grow. If we didn't have a contrasting force in our experience, we would never grow or learn. It would just be blah. And this is why in Adam and Eve, they didn't know that they were special and unique and with God, and they didn't know they were in this blissful state until they were out of it. And this is why you see this always happening in our history. You have these two opposing forces, this friction. And through this friction, it enables us to grow and to evolve and to learn. The point is, we are all learning to be creators ourselves, conscious creators. We were created to be creators. And that's the whole point of all that we're doing in all these lifetimes, dimensions, and existences, is learning to be conscious creators. So, we are understanding that the law of one states that we are all part of the one. God is uniquely represented in each of us. Then, when we understand that, we're easily offering grace to all people. And we have sought forgiveness for our wrongdoings. And we have forgiven all of their wrongdoings. You know what we call wrong. Of any action that has offended us. So now we're in the law of grace. That means karma has been absolved and it's done. Well, now that we have moved into grace and the law of one, and we're understanding this, now we are free to use the law of attraction. Totally and completely. But now, at this point, you're starting to think, well, would I really be using the law of attraction for my own personal gain? I mean, would I be using it just to serve the self at this point? Chances are no. But some people, that's how they start. one of the things that we begin to do when we understand the law of attraction is we use the idea that if we treat others well, that good favor will come back to us. And this is true, but if you're thinking like that, then you're still, believe it or not, stuck in karma, because you're believing that if you do good, good comes back to you. So you're still existing in karma, you're just existing on the other side. Instead of existing in the concept of karma, which you do bad, then bad will come back to you. You're existing on the opposing side of karma, but you are still limiting yourself to that karma. So, the law of attraction, if we're going to really use it, comes to a point of I do for others, not because it will bring goodness to me, but because it will bring goodness to them. Now, when you are doing that, you have become a totally conscious creator. And you are utilizing your godhood for others. You're using your abilities to create worlds and universes funneled through this physical experience to serve and offer to another. Now, the great thing about being at this place is when you're there, you understand that being aligned with Source and representing Source to others in its purest state, everything, you have no need or desire or want, because there is no lack. Once you've totally accepted and aligned with Source, soul-wise, everything is provided. There's total and complete fullness. Now, basically that means if you're using all of these concepts in the correct way, what is going to happen, and this, if I could say it, and it could cause you to do all this just for the betterment of yourself. And if that's the case, then great, because we are all on a journey and we all have to have a reason to move forward, and whatever that reason is, as long as it's there, it's great. If you're doing all these things, you're serving another, you've offered total forgiveness, you're using the law of attraction to serve, you're operating out of the soul's alignment with Source. What's going to happen then when you're doing that? Source is going to know the heart's wants and desires. Now these, when I say heart, I really mean this personality, this ego. Ego is not inherently bad. It's just ego run wild leads to turning away of Source. But now that you're aligned with Source, you can then funnel and channel your ego to create positive experiences. So those desires and wants that made you try to use the law of attraction to bring you all this and that will now begin to be fulfilled, not because you are using the law of attraction per se to help another, although that is why, essentially. But the real truth is that you have totally aligned yourself with the Creator. And when you've aligned yourself with the Creator, you become one with the Creator, you know that there is no lack. And because there is no lack, you have all that there is, all that you need. It's just a matter of getting your personality, your ego, on board and channeling it in a way that will best serve the soul. So, having said all that, at the end of the day, understand there's nothing wrong with being human. Wanting nice things for your family, wanting your family to be taken care of, wanting a roof over your head at night, there's nothing wrong with any of that. those are things that come from the ego being directed in a positive way. So really, it seems very complicated about all these little steps and things you have to understand. So let me just simplify it and make it easy for you to grasp. Number one, we are all one. We are all part of the one. God exists within all of us equally, regardless of what our narrow, limited view convinces us of. So when you see someone doing something you don't like, let it go, offer forgiveness. They are one, they are an expression of the Creator just as yourself. Number two, forgiveness. Total, complete forgiveness. Now, if you understand that God exists in that thief the same way as he does you, then you should more easily be able to offer complete, total forgiveness. And how can you judge your Creator? Yeah, not going to happen. Not effectively anyways. And in which case, when you offer judgment of your Creator, you're actually judging yourself, because your Creator exists within you the same. That's how the law of one works. So, you've accepted we are all part of the one, equally in the same. You've then accepted that we all are in need of forgiveness, and you have then given this forgiveness. Now you can use the law of attraction freely with no obstacles to A, bring all your desires from the ego to yourself, or B, serve your neighbor. So if you're using the law of attraction to serve others and to make their life happy, then you've aligned your soul with Source, and have then realized, and then will come to understand, that there is no lack with Source and with the Creator, total fullness of expression, and all those things that the ego, the personality, originally desired that were positive, because you've gone through a great transformation. Now the ego serves the soul instead of the soul trying to serve the ego. And you realize that all those things that you've always wanted that were positive and help to enlighten the experience as a human will come to you. So I may make it sound a little more complicated than it should be. If I did, I apologize. But this is about how to incorporate all these major concepts so that each one of them will work best for you. And you'll understand that eventually those egotistical desires, the I want to be rich, I want to be famous, I want, are going to change a lot when you start understanding true forgiveness and the law of grace. You're going to find that your desires, your ego's wants and desires, are going to be more about drawing closer to the Creator than they will be about having a big, super nice car and a mansion to show off. So these are just some things to think about. I hope they help you on your journey. Rewatch the video if you don't get it. If you have any questions, leave a comment, send me a message. By now I hope you have my website and email information, but basically you can email me at ryan@thesaulapproach.com. I appreciate you watching. I hope this video can help put some of these crazy concepts together for you, and I hope you have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon. Namaste.